Mario does a lot of stuff. He pretends to be a doctor, he drives a race car, and he saves the world. And he's also a professional at nearly every single sport ever conceived. Mario sports titles have been iconic for years and have all sold decently well. Recently though, these games are as stale as your grandma's sourdough. So what happened to these beloved games? To understand where the recent Mario sports games have failed, we have to go back to the beginning. Starting in the late 90s and early 2000s, games like Mario Tennis and Mario Golf burst onto the scene and introduced the world to Mario and his friends playing sports. These games were an instant hit. Thanks to the combination of accessible gameplay, colorful graphics, and beloved characters, there was no way these games would fail. These were originally just simple sports games featuring Mario characters, and for that time, that was okay. They were on older hardware and they were early IPs, so they were more basic due to hardware limitations and being new. Even though they were simple, Mario Tennis and Mario Golf set a high bar with their intuitive controls and deep mechanics. They offered a perfect balance of simplicity for the average person and depth for people who've been playing for a while. The charm of seeing Mario and friends in a sports setting, complete with unique abilities and power-ups, made these games unforgettable. Then came the GameCube era of these games like Mario Strikers, Mario Power Tennis, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and Mario Superstar Baseball. These games not only took a leap at introducing new sports series, but also built upon the success of other games that came before. Mario Strikers, for example, is a soccer game that combined the finesse of soccer and the chaotic energy of the Mario games. Though this game is way more violent than soccer is, it added power-ups, special moves, and over-the-top animations that offered a fresh and a new experience. The game itself was loaded with content at launch. It had loads of replayability for both solo and playing with friends.
Too bad I don't have any.
Mario Superstar Baseball is the same way. It had a load of content for anybody who wants to play by themselves or with friends. The game has a deep competitive scene to this day and offers loads of in-depth gameplay, but is still accessible to anyone who wants to pick it up for the first time. Both of these games offered a fresh take on these sports, with loads of replayability and content at launch to make even the most seasoned gamer happy. The GameCube era of Mario Sports is really where the series began to shine. It not only built upon the great things the previous games did, but it also introduced new games entirely. Then, as time went on, the series moved to the Wii with games like Mario Strikers Charge and Mario Super Sluggers. Mario Strikers Charge took the series from the GameCube and brought it even further with its aggressive gameplay and unique animations. Like, look at this dry bones absolutely work it! This game looked and felt like an upgrade to the original. It had great multiplayer modes and provided endless fun whether you were playing with friends locally or online. Each character had distinct traits and abilities, making the game not only about soccer but also strategic use of character strengths. It really built upon what was great about Mario Strikers and added new things that made this game feel like an enhanced version. Superstar Baseball also got the same treatment with Mario Super Sluggers. This built perfectly on the success of Superstar Baseball and added motion controls which fit perfectly into the baseball formula. This game added loads of new stages in addition with motion controls and a great story mode. It was a perfect game. The only problem with these games is that they struggle to compare to the likes of Wii Sports, but even then, this game had so much personality, bringing all of these Mario characters to life. Even new entries like Mario Sports Mix introduced a variety of games featuring basketball, volleyball, dodgeball, and hockey. This game showed just how versatile Mario Sports can be, proving the formula could be applied to pretty much any sport with a great amount of success. Each sport had its own mechanics and mini-games, ensuring that any player could explore something new with this game. And each sport having its own Mario-themed power-ups and moves offered so much variety and made it so this game really stands out as a great Mario sports game, even if it's not as flushed out as some of the others. Even games like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics had a variety of Olympic events that showed Mario and friends at their best. I've never hid that I'm not a huge fan of these games, but when you compare it to some of the more modern Mario sports titles, I would take this game any day. Whether it was one sport to play or a collection of multiple, all of these games were fine on their own and had enough content to keep them relevant even to this day. They're great examples of what can happen if you put enough good content into a game to keep it alive. However, as we moved into the era of the 3DS and the Wii U, everything started to fall apart. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash was one of the first signals that this series isn't as good as it used to be. If you've played Ultra Smash, you know exactly what I'm gonna say. This game released in 2015 for the Wii U. The game had limited game modes, no story mode, and a small roster of characters. This was a slap in the face to fans of the series because this game had loads of potential to make this a great game, but they cut so much content out of it. This game plays like Mario Tennis on the N64, but with even less content. The idea of simplicity is great, but when the games prior had so much more content, taking out all of these things made this game feel so much worse than it already was. A huge part of what made these games as successful as they were was these games had options for anybody. After beating the main tournament mode modes, you could do other things. Even if you didn't want to do them, it gave you the option. And the disappointment continued with Mario Sports Superstars for the 3DS. It featured a roster of 5 sports: soccer, baseball, tennis, golf, and horse racing for some reason. They had blueprints for 80% of these games, and they still blew it on every single one. The game felt like a compilation of shallow experiences rather than a cohesive package. All of these sports lacked depth and polish, and it left fans wanting so much more. I get it was a compilation of different games, but there were other game series that did this and did it so much better. I like to compare this to the Mario and Sonic series because this also had a collection of mini-games that at least somewhat felt playable on the DS and 3DS and had loads more content than this game did. Neither this game nor Ultra Smash got any additional content to make these games feel like a complete package, and it's a shame because they were sold at full price. The Mario Sports saga felt like it was entirely up in the air of whether it would continue or not. I understand the Wii U was not as successful as anyone would have liked, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't at least try and make some of these games. We only got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash for the Wii U as far as sports games go. While I'm kind of glad we didn't get an attempt at any other sports games on the Wii U because of how bad Ultra Smash was, I really wish they tried to do something with these games. And even though I can say the games got a little bit better in the Switch era, they still had their own set of problems. Nintendo has attempted to revive the magic of these series with titles like Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush. These games promised to bring the glory days back, but really fell short in some crucial areas. Mario Tennis Aces brought back the beloved mechanics of the series and added a story mode, which is great. It's awesome to see more single-player content get added to these games, but they fell into the trap of drip-feeding content. Instead of launching with a full roster, they added more characters after the initial release for free in updates. I love that these updates were free, and I think it's way better than having them as paid expansions. But opting to release this content gradually through free updates instead of just having a full package on release is a disappointing thing to see. While its approach kept people coming back, it also meant this game didn't feel complete at launch. Players had to wait months to access all the characters and modes, which led to frustration for people who bought this game early on. I understand if you bought this game a year after release and you got all of the updates all at once, but for people like me who bought this game as soon as it released, it had such little content to keep me playing. The story mode could be beat in a few hours, and then after that you were kind of left with nothing. Mario Golf Super Rush had the same issue. The game introduced new exciting game modes like Speed Golf, where players could race to complete holes, and Battle Golf, which added a competitive twist. However, just like Mario Tennis, it suffered from a lack of content at launch. Essential things like courses and characters were added over time, but the initial experience felt lacking. Having a continuous drip release of content made it so these games didn't feel as full as they should. And it would be one thing if these games felt like a full experience even after all of the updates, but a lot of these games are lacking. The best example of that is Mario Strikers Battle League. This is the most recent Mario Sports title, and it really feels like they left out half of this game. Sure, they added new mechanics like being able to customize gear and added new characters, but it felt like this game was lacking anything to keep people playing. If they just added more game modes and mini games and things that kept people playing, I'm sure these games would be talked about in the highest regard, but considering they feel better on the GameCube than they do now, it's a slap in the face to people who have been wanting these experiences to be transferred over to the Switch. The modern approach of drip feeding content to keep people playing often leads to games feeling unfinished at launch. People buy these games expecting a full package, but receive what feels like a beta version. This can be particularly frustrating for fans who have followed the series for years and expect a certain standard of quality. And by the time all this content is released, all of the hype is gone. People forget about these titles, and it leads to people not thinking that Mario sports games feel like they should. What made the classic Mario sports titles so great wasn't the charming characters or colorful graphics. It was the complete polished experience they offered right out of the box. Players could play different game modes, explore deep mechanics, and enjoy a wealth of content without waiting for updates. These titles excelled at providing a balance between accessibility and depth. Newcomers could pick up these games and play with ease, while more experienced players could delve into the nuances of every sport. The inclusion of unique power-ups and special moves added layers of depth and fun and strategy that made every single match exciting and unpredictable. The decision to simplify gameplay and drip feed content meant the initial releases of these games lacked a robust offering that fans have come to expect, and made these games feel like a bare bones, incomplete package, leading to disappointment and frustration. Simplified mechanics mechanics and shallow game modes can make the experience feel repetitive and less engaging. And the new focus on multiplayer and online features is a double-edged sword. It offers new ways to play the game, which is nice, but it can also detract from the single-player experience, which many fans have come to love. The fact that players can't really get better with practice in these games is so sad. Games like Mario Superstar Baseball are played to this day because they have a wealth of deep mechanics that allow players to get really good at the game. But despite all of these struggles, there's still so much hope for these sports games to make a comeback. The foundation of these games is strong, the gameplay is solid, there's beloved characters and charming aesthetics. What's needed is a return to the principles that made these original games great. Launching with a complete, polished product and ensuring that these games have a balance between depth and accessibility is essential. The Mario sports games were once a cornerstone of the Mario franchise, offering not only a complete, engaging experience that delighted fans of all ages, but also something that people could play for years to come. People love these games, and for good reason, and it's a shame to see them in the state they're in. Even though they've gotten better with time, I would love to see these games do more and more to make people want to play. And we haven't gotten a Mario baseball game in years. What's up with that? If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I hope that you and your family have an incredible rest of your day, and if you liked anything you saw here, please consider subscribing.